All right, we are live. All right, hello everybody. It's Lynn, Ellie, and Carol, and we are on our $1 million mission, helping you to, succeed in your business, to make more money, have greater success, and make sure you have that right mindset so you never ever give up. Because we're all for staying in there and making our making progress as we go along. So anyway, what we're going to talk about tonight is the 9 telltale signs you are ready to start a home-based business. Because, a lot of people think it's for them, but maybe it really isn't, or maybe you're thinking of things, and that could be a telltale sign that, maybe you are ready to, to jump in. So before we do that, we are going to do our $1 million mission toast. So here we go, gals. Raise our glasses, and here's to success.
Success.
Yeah.
Wait, I have to have a drink?
No, we got to do that first. Got to do it. All right, so I'm going to start us off with the first telltale sign, and this kind of relates to me. I added this to the list, and that was during the days, my corporate days, when I would look out my cushy office window thinking I had it all, right? That I was in the big leagues because I was in upper management, working for a bank and a mortgage department, managing a mortgage department, all those kinds of things. But why was it that I still looked out the window wondering, is this what life is really supposed to be? And maybe you've had that same thing happen to you, where you're looking out a window, or you're looking up at the ceiling, or you're looking inside your cubicle, or whatever it is, and you're wondering, is this how life is supposed to be? You get up at the same time every morning. You do the same commute. You go get your coffee. You do the same thing day in, day out. And worst thing is, for me, I had to take our son to daycare every day too. So I missed out on a lot of his growing up years. So that could be a telltale sign that maybe you need a change. Maybe you're looking for a change. Maybe this online home business thing might be something for you, and you might start, maybe your brain is starting to think that this is something that you're ready for, that you might be able to jump into. So this is just one thing I'm pushing out there, and I'm going to let Carol and Ellie, chime in on that and how they can, relate to, and I know Carol can, to the corporate side of, working for a boss in a corporate business and that kind of thing. So take it away, Ellie or Carol?
I got it. Okay. I'm going to pick up on what you said about, is this it? Is this the way it's supposed to be? I heard someone talking last night about a similar situation, and God, I never thought of it that way before. Somebody had said, you're in a box. You need to step out of your box sometimes in order to feel free. And this person said, do you realize how much we live in a box? She said, first of all, we sleep in a bed, which is a box that's, off the floor. When we get up, we're in a room, which is a box. We step out of the room, we go into the kitchen, and the whole house is a box. And then we step out of the house, we get in our car, which is a box. And then we step out of the car, we go into the office, which is a box. So, we think we're getting out of boxes, and man, we just live in one box consecutively after another. And that just blew my mind. It's so true. So, is that indeed the way we want to live? If it is, fine. And just to delve a little bit deeper into that thought, and again, I don't want to beat up people who have jobs and are happy on their jobs, and they're doing well. As I say, they like what they're doing, they feel fulfilled, and they have a decent income, nice income. Fine, that's good. I'm talking about the people who dread their work, and I have found myself in that position as well, to the point that I used to work very, very long hours certain days so that I could have more days off during the week. Sometimes I worked, usually I worked a 4-day week, and sometimes I would work 12-hour days Saturday, 12 hours, even 14-hour days on Sundays, and a few hours on Tuesdays and a few hours on Wednesdays, and then I'd have 3 days off in between. And that was because I dreaded it so much. And the reason I dreaded it was because it was so repetitious and unfulfilling. And I used to say to myself, there's got to be something else I can do. But I had a career. I was not trained in anything else. At one point years ago, I did try to get a different job in a different place, but it was the same career. And I found that I was making more where I was than the director was in the place that I had applied for work. So I said, no, forget that. And also, I did some telephone counseling with people from different companies. We managed their contracts. And every Monday morning and Sunday night, the phones would be ringing, ringing, ringing. People just couldn't stand the thoughts of going to work the next day. And they'd be, what can I do? Da-da-da-da, So, it all feeds into that thing about dreading going to work. And, somebody said, I forgot exactly how many hours or how many years it was. God, I forgot. It was mind-boggling. Something like 60 years we spend on the job out of our life if we live to be 90 or something. I don't know what it was, but it was mind-boggling, way more than you'd ever think. And, is that the way we want to spend the majority of our waking hours, dreading things? It's crazy. So it wasn't until I finally figured out a different opportunity, and that was joining my spouse in her online business. I just didn't think I could do it at first. I didn't think, as I said, I wasn't trained for anything other than the career I was working in. But I found that I could learn things. I could learn new things. So I jumped ship and came over into our own business and have felt such freedom since then, and I don't dread a day of it. So that's my take on that particular topic about dreading going to work. Ellie or Lynn, would you like to pick up on another topic?
Well, so I'm laughing. I mean, I dreaded about going to work before I ever went to work. All right, so I'm a little different here. I never really played the corporate game. I'm not telling you I never worked 9 to 5. I did. But I remember young, looking at my parents and thinking, this is not the way life's supposed to be. Okay, I could just tell. I knew without at that time in my life, hearing my father say it. Later on in life, he did say it, but I knew that this man didn't like his job. I knew it, and I innately knew this is not what I want to do, and this is what they were raising me to do, and I was like, Now I also knew I was smart enough. Oh crap. Don't tell them that, Although I did later on, I'm telling my mother, I could be a truck driver. She must have had a heart attack, all right? There are women truck drivers today, but there wasn't when I was 19. And when I look at that job today, I go, oh, that was in a box also. A bumpy box. Like they all have kidney problems and back problems and all, right? But, I was just looking for something different. I personally am not very well mentally employable. I just wasn't. I would be there, and I don't like any of that. When I read the list we wrote, I was like, all that crap I had by the time I was 14 before I ever had a job. Okay? I didn't want to do any of that stuff. I just didn't. So I think that so much, freedom calls us all, but we have other things, responsibilities in life. I believe you can mix the two together, but we're not taught how to do that. That's why the community that we're in is so important, because this is a community that teaches you. So you are at this point. I don't care if you just hit one of these 9 telltale signs. All right, we do have 9 of them. We probably have 122 of them, if you want to be honest here. But if you hit one of these, if you're at that point of my life doesn't suck, I don't totally hate my job, but do I got to do this for another 10, 15, 20 years? I don't know. Do you? You know, you might not have to. And the only way you're going to find out is to expand. You've got to expand and step out of that box. Like Carol was talking about, all these boxes all over the place. I was starting to get antsy. I don't like boxes. And looking at that and taking that, you know, that leap into, I think Lynn said it earlier, there are a lot of people who say, yes, yes, I want my own business, and then they get there and they start to do it and they run away. That's mindset stuff, because it's different. It is different than a job. It's absolutely different. Some people consider it difficult. It's different. And when you can embrace that different, all right, is when you then realize, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a freedom seeker. I don't even, that word entrepreneur, that throws some people off. I would say all of you that are watching this are a freedom seeker, because we're born as a freedom seeker. You know, or a freedom liver, and then we got put in the box. So then we, in this box seeking freedom, being able to mastermind with people who have exceeded what many of you even dream of, that is an amazing process to get within a community and find ways. Some people just want to make $500 extra a month, and it would make a big difference in your life. Some people want to replace their jobs, and that would make a huge difference in your life. But you've got to mentally prepare yourself, okay, of it's going to be different, and different is good. That's the biggest thing. Different is good. If I'm a little uncomfortable, it means I'm indifferent, and that's good, because I'm not in all those boxes that Carol just talked about. Because now I'm starting to sweat. I'm going to have to put my air conditioner on. She talked about all those boxes. So I'm going to pass it over to Lynn or Carol or whoever's going.
Oh my gosh, Ellie, that is so hilarious. I love it. And you know, when you talk about, you know, people, you know, would want to expand, it brings up what Angela Carter shared last night on our Empower Hour, and she kept mentioning how Empower Network, it's like the perfect name for the company because it empowers people. And that's what we're doing. We're sharing a message, and you know, like Carol and Ellie have said over and over again, this isn't necessarily that we're against people working at jobs or anything like that, or having a career. We're just sharing a message that we have found something else that has moved us out of a corporate life or a self-employed life to live a more freedom type lifestyle, and part of that is empowering you to do that. And Angela Carter, I mean, she really, it was a really great Empower Hour last night, because when you empower yourself, you empower people, and then you have groups of empowered people, it's just tremendous. I mean, that's why this community, I believe, just keeps growing and growing and growing. So anyway, we're going to move on to number 2, which is you're ready to work from home when you are tired of working for someone else. Now, for me, my take on that was, I'm a very creative person, and I believe a lot of people that, you know, are entrepreneurs or freedom seekers or whatever, freedom movers, are creative people. We have creative minds, and we want to use that ability to create. And I love our platform, our blogging platform, Kalatu Premium, because it allows us to do that. So that's just one little tool that a home-based business can give anybody, is this ability to be creative. And so if you're finding yourself that, you know, you're going into work and going, if that guy or that gal tells me to do one more thing, you know, it's probably a telltale sign that you know, maybe there is something else that, you know, that we share tonight that might help you to make a different decision and to find something different to do in your life that, you know, that will help you to live the life that you want to live. So I'm going to kick that off and throw that one over to Miss Carol there.
Well, let me again embellish on that one a little bit too. If you're in a job and you find that your boss is a lousy boss, but is well liked by upper management for God knows whatever reason, and that certainly happens, I've seen it time and time again, you're in trouble. You certainly could be, because that boss has the potential for throwing you under the bus, so to speak, stealing your ideas, and no matter what you do or say, you know, people are not going to believe you. They're going to stand behind the boss. And if you find yourself in that situation, my advice would be to transfer out of that, even if it's just a lateral transfer. If you're not going to get a promotion or something, move yourself away from that boss if you possibly can. Now, sometimes comes the point where you're not able to. There are no other choices. So the question is, do you want to live for God knows how long, could be years, under that type situation? And, you know, if everything else is going well for you, fine, that might be your decision that you'll stick it out. But if it's just too much of a thorn in your side, burr under your saddle, then you might want to start looking elsewhere. And again, one of the elsewhere places is having your own business. And if you choose an online business, it offers you a heck of a lot of more freedom than what you will know or have known probably before. So it might be something you'd want to think about or consider. So that said, I will pass it along.
I'm laughing and throw you under the bus. So I've been thrown under the bus, and I was 19 years old. One of my first full-time job. And anyways, you know, I was 19 and I was cute, and I worked for a bank, and this guy come in and whatever. So I didn't pick up on his sexual advances, and he didn't particularly care for that. And so he was throwing me under the bus, and I told them, you know, and then I went up in front of some other people, and I wasn't crying. I just, you know, I just told it like it is, and so they didn't believe me. You know, they believed this fool. And like 2 years later, they found out he was embezzling like thousands and thousands and, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I thought, you assholes, you let go of me. And I was actually very good with numbers, and I probably would have so it was the best thing that ever happened to me, is what I'm saying. Okay, because I probably would have stayed with numbers because I was good at it, and that's how I was trained, even though I didn't want to work for other people and I didn't buy into that crap. I was still following that trained path, right? And I didn't really like it. I brought my job home. I brought those numbers home. It was ridiculous, and I went off in other directions because of that. So the guy did me a huge favor. See, so I was able to always find that. That's funny, because we're actually going to talk about that in the next one. In essence, it's about we take a responsibility. I don't know if I was ever thrown under the bus after that, because I never stayed in a place long enough for anybody to do that. And that was not because of that fear. It was because I would get bored, and it was like, I got to do another freaking job. Now, let me tell you what, all right? At that time, you could do that. There were jobs around. I'm going back, oh dear God, Carol, how many years? 35, 40 years ago, all right? Jobs were not that hard to find. They just weren't. I could leave this job and go to that job. In 3 days, I could get a new job. So I did play like that. I'd stay here for a while. I'd go, no, I don't like to do that. I'd go do something else. So I was never looking for a career in a place. I was trying to find a career, within me. So I never got thrown under the bus again. But when you talked about that, I was like, oh, that guy did me a favor. So I'm quiet now.
Well, sorry to hear that you were thrown under the bus, but like you said, it sounds like it was, for the good, and everything happens for a reason. I believe in that. So, and you're right, Ellie. We're gonna parlay into the third one, and that is you are ready to work from home when you're taking responsibility for your own actions, whether they're good or bad. So, if you're tired of your boss, and you're finding yourself that you're taking responsibility for things, whether you want to or not. You know what I mean? Like I remember some of the work I had to do as an underwriter. I was a loan processor, and then I moved up into a loan underwriter. And so I would underwrite these loans, and some of them I hated to do, especially the ones with the people had tax returns that were like this high. They had 10 corporations, and they had this and that. Well, you had to analyze all this stuff and be responsible for the decision that you make on that loan, on that mortgage, right? And I found myself, those big fat files, putting those to the end. Well, that's not good, because you're not taking, responsibility. You're not taking the right actions, good or bad. But if you find yourself that you seem like you're more grounded, you can make a decision, you're going to take action, you're going to be doing things, that is a telltale sign that you could have the qualities of starting a home business. So I wanted to bring that up because I think that's an important principle or value or whatever you want to call it. And most people, they don't really analyze themselves enough to say to themselves, you know what, I think I am pretty responsible, or, oh shoot, no, maybe I'm not. And you look at yourself and what you're doing today, or what you did yesterday, or how you're progressing yourself. If you're not progressing, then you might not be a responsible person, and it might be time to wake up and figure it out. What is it that you really want to do? If you're not happy with your job, not happy with your boss, but you're not taking responsibility, whether it's at home or at your job, maybe it's time to think, what is it that you really want? So I'm going to shoot that one over now to Carol.
Well, sort of conversely to that, we'll pick up another point here that could be an indication that you're not meant to remain where you are on your job. And that is when there's no room for advancement. That could be for a lot of different reasons. It could be that you have advanced to the point of your skill level or credential level, whatever it is. Or could be that there's just no more, your company maybe is not growing, and there's not room for new openings. Could be that for whatever reason you're not liked, or you have one of those bad bosses that's liked by upper management, and the likelihood of your getting a higher position is very poor. So when you find yourself in that situation where you're quote-unquote stuck where you are, again, you might want to take responsibility for yourself and see, can you live with that? Is that something that's all right with you? Or is it something that's, again, going to bug you and make you hate your job and dread going to work? And if it is going to do something along those lines, then you may want to look at something else. Something perhaps where you're not working for someone else. So, that said, I'll move it along.
I learned years ago when you point the finger, three are pointing back at you. And And that really pissed me off the first time I heard that when somebody said it to me. But I've learned, and I've done it, you know, I do a huge amount of reading. I have for many, many years. So I learned that that's true. And I do think that that's a big thing here. All right, you need to get that. If you're not willing to take responsibility for your own life, then that, to me, that's an employee mindset. Okay, and I guess, you know, I hear people in our business and other owned businesses, they talk about the employee mindset. I really don't understand it. I promise you, I never had it. But they kept trying to train it into me, so I'd half have it. But it was not a good mindset for me. You know, I mean, I get it, but when I watch people, if they want to blame this and they blame their boss and they blame, you know, the economy, and then they blame how much money they don't make and their co-workers. And if you're into the blame game, and I understand that there's almost a community of blame game in jobs. Oh my God, we're going to knock you off your feet. You know, we're going to knock your socks off here because we don't play the blame game. And it's the complete opposite of that. So, you know, if you're looking for that breath of fresh air, and if you're willing to learn that personal development and learn that, you know, I can take responsibility for my life. Because you know what? When things go good, we all like to go, yes, I did it, hooray. You know, but when things go to shit, I say, yes, I did it, hooray, because I realize how powerful I am. So it's not about anybody else. It really is all about me. It's about my reaction to things in life, of how then things carry on and go on. I get all of that. You know, if you're really, really stuck, I don't know if you're stuck. I don't know if you really are stuck in an employee mindset. If you're watching a hangout like this, if you're looking at other things, there is a voice inside of you. You might be in that mindset of this is their fault and all. But that voice inside of you, you can nurture that because it's calling you. So if you're even watching this, it's kind of like, why are you even thinking about it? You know, click the button below, get in touch with one of us, or go find something else. All right? But go do something. Stop being what other people say you're supposed to be and do and have. I'm passing the torch.
Amen to that, Ellie. Oh my goodness, that is so true. That, you know, blaming others, like you said, that employee mindset, what I consider that to be is just that they're blaming the boss, they're blaming the job, they're blaming that they can't get more money, they're blaming this and that, rather than taking, you know, the responsibility for themselves and figuring out what is it that you really want. So, you know, I agree with that. All right, so we're going to move on to number 4. You are ready to work from home when you dread working on somebody else's timeline. Now, I got to tell you, the one thing I dreaded the most is every year figuring out when my vacation time was. You know, how many weeks did I have? And then, you know, all the employees, you had to work with them to figure out what time you could take. And of course, everybody wanted to take off at Christmas. And there was all these, you know, cheers and people, you know, mad and all this kind of thing because everybody wanted to take off the same time. Plus, for the fact, what I never realized until, you know, I became a freedompreneur, whatever you want to call it, is that my husband and I, when we travel now, we love traveling during the week and not the weekends. Because everybody is, you know, at the beach on the weekends, or, you know, at the amusement parks in the weekend and all this kind of stuff. So we take time off during the week, and especially traveling and things like that. And it is so much nicer to be able to do that. And for the fact, you know, like we were just talking, you know, when do we want to go? We want to go up to Monterey and, you know, Big Sur and all that kind of thing. We just want to take a trip one day, you know. And it's like we don't have to ask anybody, you know, we don't have to say, oh, are you taking your 2 weeks then? Or are you taking your 1 week then? And all this kind of thing. And I'm telling you, I dreaded those days. I dreaded those days. And I dreaded some of the time when my company would come back to me and say, you know, Lynn, you took a 3-week vacation and you only had 2 weeks coming to you. so they wouldn't pay me for a week. It's like, oh, for crying out loud, you know? It's just one of those that you just, then something, you want to do something different. Because if you want more time freedom, if you want more time for yourself, for your family, for, what you want to do in life, that is a sure telltale sign. And like Ellie and Carol have said, our community, that's what we're all about. We empower you so you can empower yourself to live the life that you want. So I'm going to shoot this over to Carol because I'm sure she's got some good stuff on this.
Oh boy, can I jump into this one? And I'll tell you why. Actually, my original plan was, when I saw what my spouse was doing, to join her business and work it, part-time while I raised our income in that level, while I raised my income in that level, so that I could gradually decrease my hours on the job and eventually quit. So I had been going to some of the company events through this business, and we have events every 3 months, and thoroughly enjoy them, learn something from them, and it's just such a uplifting break from everything else. So the next one was coming up, and our rule on the job was you have to put in what was it now? I forgot. A month or 2? No, 3 months I think it was in advance if you wanted time off. So I put in for the time off, but I couldn't make the arrangements yet. I couldn't say, yeah, go ahead and get the tickets, because I didn't hear anything. And time would go by, time would go by, time would go by, and finally, they said, well, we can't give you all the days off that you want, but we'll give you, 2 days, when I put in for 5 maybe, or whatever it was. I said, that's it. I am out of here. So I handed in my papers after that happened. Yeah, exactly. Time freedom. Right. I don't have a lot more to say other than that. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I wasn't going to have any more of that.
I knew that was going to get you. And so, not for nothing, but again, I didn't work in a lot of jobs. I had vacation. But I couldn't even stand their timetable up. You want me to get up at what time? In the morning? I'm not an early person. Wait a minute. I worked a job once in the Animal Medical Hospital in Manhattan, and I had to be there at 6 a.m. I had to be there. Okay, I drove in. Traffic wasn't heavy over the bridge at that time in the morning, so I drove in, and I loved this job, okay, because I had to be, even though I had to be there at 6 a.m., I was more of a morning person then. I was supposed to work from 6 to 2, but if I didn't take a lunch hour, I got out of there at 1. I was like, yes. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't take a lunch hour. I would just work straight through from 6 to 1 and then get the hell out of there. So, no, I never liked timetables. I would be like, what are you so upset? It's 9:15. I'm here. I usually, not for nothing, I used to think, you fools, I'm usually here way after, all right, we're supposed to leave. I'm finishing this up. But any job I ever did, I was usually there finishing up. So I don't like timetables. I never really had to fight about vacation because I didn't stay with anybody long enough to do that. But I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being told what to do. So I get that. I see that. I'm amazed at that when I realize, oh my God, it's true. Right? These companies, they have all these people. They got to have some people on. Everybody wants this whole time off. Who's mad at each other? I'm just like, oh my God. No, I got to go do my own thing. So yeah, I'm done with that one.
And you know what, Ellie and Carol, I want to share this, that, we don't live in LA, but LA is very close to, 4 hours away. And our son used to, go to college down there. And I'm telling you, well, even I did live up in San Francisco area and Mountain View area, up in the Bay Area for a while when I was younger. And the thing that cracks me up today, they have to have so many traffic lights and lights at the ramps of these highways because they only let 2 or 3 cars in at a time because they already know that everybody goes at the same time. They all commute into LA at the same time and they all commute out of LA at the same time. How crazy is that, right? How crazy is that? But like Carola said, and I agree. If you love your career, that is something different. You know what I mean? That's something totally different. We just share the message of other choices and to bring awareness about what this home business industry is all about anyway. Okay, so let's move on to number 5. You're ready to work from home, and there's a telltale sign when you've lost your passion for your career. Maybe you've started a career and you thought this thing was going to last forever, or maybe you got into something and you're thinking, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like this. You know what I mean? When I got into the real estate lending industry, I kind of was like, started at the bottom. I was a loan processor. And that was kind of a good thing because then I learned the industry and then worked myself up. Because the best time in that industry for me was when I was a senior underwriter. I loved my job. Ask Denny. I would come home. I was happy. Loved it. I had a little bit more freedom and that kind of thing of when I could come and go as long as I did my work. And that was for about 1.5 years. And then after that, the industry just changed for one thing, but also all the phone calls and just everything, and the stress that was put on me, and I was sick. I was getting sick every single year. I would have strep throat, and then every 3 years I was having double lung pneumonia, and one year I had whooping cough. I mean, it was like, and I would ask my doctor, what is this all from? And he goes, stress. You must be stressed. I'm like, must be. Hello. It was that kind of a career. I thought it was going to be a career. But, things happen, and 2008 brought, the fall down, and it helped me to make a different decision. And, that's just the way it goes. But for me, anyway, if you lose that passion for what you're doing, that could be definitely a telltale sign. Maybe it's time to do something else. Over to Carol.
Yeah, I can certainly relate to that as well. As I mentioned, I had one career for decades that I was involved in and loved it. I actually loved it. And I worked for a variety of agencies in the beginning, and if I ended up with somebody in the bureaucracy, one of the bosses or directors or somebody that I didn't see eye to eye with, I would ask for a transfer out and move into a different department. But it always worked out. It always worked out. And I really liked it. But then I geographically moved. And when I moved, I was not able to get the type job that I wanted. So I landed a job with a corporation. And actually, that started off great. Very bright people I was working with, very innovative administrators. It was a brand new office that was opening in a new location. And for years, I actually enjoyed working there. And then, I don't know what happened. Corporate America took over. And I still like the people. I had one, I guess she wasn't quite a vice president, but she was way up there. She's a sweetheart. She's still a good friend of mine, and I absolutely love her. We go out to dinner with her sometimes and what have you. But the processes, the procedures, they began to not make sense anymore. And when you have all kinds of time on the books that you've earned, that's one of the benefits that you have for working, and then you can't use it. What the hell? So yeah, I began to lose my passion for what I was doing, and I actually can say that I hated the work after a while. I hated it. It just became so boring. So that was my experience there, and I know other people are in that. As a matter of fact, I had dinner with some of my ex-coworkers not too long ago, and they were saying the same thing. And I saw something on Facebook just this week from one of them that that there's not a lot that they enjoy about it, but they don't see any other way out. And unfortunately, it hurts me to see that, because there are other ways, but they don't have the mindset to open up to think about moving out of their comfort zone and trying something different. So, at least not today. Ellie, I don't think that's a problem that you run into, is it?
Well, I mean, my passion for my career, I just have a passion for life, and I always follow it. And anybody that's watching this, if you love what you do, I think that's great. You could probably do it better on your own terms. I'm just saying. Or you could enhance it. My mother always said, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." I have to laugh at that, because she said that, all right? So that was an old-time expression, yet they taught all of us, get a job and stay there. Never made any sense to me, all right? I was not one to put my eggs in one basket. And I like different eggs and change the eggs. Let me go get a new basket now. And, damn, folks, we're here to have a good time. I knew that when I was young, okay? We came here to have a good time. And experience is like, that's the journey, doing different things. So God bless you all. I have never had a career. I just haven't. My career is to have no career, and to do all these different types of things, which I have. And I've been online actually since 1996, and I've done different things online as well. I say, whether you've lost your passion for your career or not, please get back in touch with the passion that you have within inside of you, because this is what I really find. People, I'm not even going to say baby boomers, even in their 40s, when you tell people, well, what's your special talent? People go, I don't have a special talent. I go, no, you do. No, I couldn't do anything online with a special talent. Of course you could. No. No, I'm not like those kids that are 20, because they were raised on the internet. Well, that's true. You might not be techie, but you have life experience and you have wisdom. And those kids that are 20, they can't go learn that in a book. So you can learn techie stuff easily, really, okay? You can. The techie stuff you need to know on here anyways, right? But those kids have to go live their life before they get life experience and wisdom. We have so much to offer others, and we're so trained into thinking just on my job that we don't even see that there's like, I just want you to open that world of possibility. Just play with it. Just email one of us and talk about it, because it's there for you. It truly is. And your passion, your strongest passion should be to live your life in the best way it can be. That's it, not for anything else. What do you think, Lynn?
No, I agree with that. And you know what, Ellie, you made me think about how I was raised was, you either went to college or you got a job. And because my father didn't want to pay for girls to go to college, because all they did was go to college, party, and be with boys. So I found my job when I was right after my 18th birthday. I was hired with Eaton Corporation, a huge corporation, and started working. But here's the key. I learned how to be a corporate company person. I didn't plan that. I started with this job. I wouldn't even lift my head up to say good morning to people. People would come in and go, "Good morning, Lynn, good morning." I'd be like, "Hi. Hi." I mean, seriously, that's how I was when I was 18. And this gal took me under her wing. She was the corporate secretary, and because I was 18, drinking was at 18 then, not 21. She took me out, and I had my first rusty nail, and that's how I've been drinking scotch ever since. I don't like rusty nails, but I love scotch, on the rocks. Anyway, she is the one that groomed me into this corporate lifestyle. Now, isn't that interesting? Because it's exactly what it is. Though there's people that are in this corporate lifestyle mindset, achievement type factor, if you will, okay? And as I progressed throughout the years, that's all I knew. That's all I knew to do. I didn't hear about entrepreneurship. My dad was self-employed, but he never really said, I'm self-employed, you need to work for yourself. He never said. He worked from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. We barely saw him, and he even worked on Saturdays. He was off on Sundays, and that was it. So, I grew up in this corporate. And in fact, my first blog post was more like a corporate letter. They taught you how to do just 3 paragraphs. That's all you could do. The left margin and all this kind of stuff, the salutation and the signature and all this kind of thing. That's what I was groomed and taught and put into my head. And then when I come into a community that's talking freedom and entrepreneurship and being creative and having your own life and doing things on your terms, yeah, it's a hard thing to kind of get into, like thinking, okay, I can do this kind of deal. But it really is a different type of mindset, and it's a mindset that anybody can look into and see if this is something that they might be interested compared to a corporate life or even a self-employed life, because I think that's where we get to the point now where we are creating this is like its own little career, an entrepreneur career, if you will. Gary Vee said it best. He said, technically, we're all entrepreneurs. If you are creating something, and you're selling it, and you're trying to make your life better, either through money or through enriching your life or your family's life or something, you're an entrepreneur. Basically, that's what it is. So when you say entrepreneur, if that offends you, or if that's like, oh no, I'm not an entrepreneur, it's okay. It's just a word, and it's just something that we use to formulate the fact that it's part of changing your mindset, changing the way that you were brought up. And trust me, I know, because now I'm in that baby boomer group, and I know how everybody has been brought up through these decades. And so now my son is learning something totally different than 40 years ago, right? So I don't know, I get a little riled up about that, because I'm passionate now about sharing the message that there is something out there for you. You just have to open up. Carol's mentioned it, Ellie's mentioned it. Open up your mind, and let the information flow through. Try it out. Give it a whirl. You might find out, holy heck, this was the best thing you've ever done. Especially getting into a community like ours. And go ahead, Ellie. You want to say something? Or Carol?
Yeah, okay. Funny thing is, you mentioned about the boomers. We're a generation that, my God, you want to talk about free thinkers. I mean, we were the revolutionaries of whatever. In our day, and I wrote a blog about this lately, but I mean, historically there was the Vietnam War and all that business that I think kind of changed our mindset along the way. But talk about free thinkers. I mean, people who backpacked across Europe and drove around in Volkswagens with big flowers on them, and we grew our hair long and wore our bell-bottom pants and went barefoot and all that stuff. I mean, it's there. It's in us. And somewhere in many of us, it got buried. It got squelched. We forgot about it. I don't know what happened. But I beg people to remember those days, and see if it resonates with you at all today. See if indeed it's something that you want to be in touch with and live. Also, if you have a job now, you're in really the best position to move into something like entrepreneurship, if that's something that you think might work for you, because you still have your steady income while you're building the business, which was, as I said, my plan. I don't recommend that people quit as precipitously as I did, but I just took it for too long. That was my thing, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So, Ellie, I saw you jumping in your seat there before.
I'm always jumping in my seat because I'm laughing. I'm like, well, yeah, even with flower power and everything else, I'm thinking of the long hair and, the no patches on our jeans and construction shirts, and, I've been there and I've done that. Yet that was frowned upon, even though we did it. And I guess some people stepped into the so-called responsible area of their life, but that's why I think, I know within our community, there's a huge amount of baby boomers in this business, all right, because that's not gone. And this ignites it back. It brings back that, that voice, because it never went away. People think, oh, I could never do that now. I'm too old. I don't, please, that's the most ridiculous phrase I've ever heard in my life. Again, you don't have the wisdom and the experience that 20-year-olds, yes, the technology comes a little easier to them. Here's the greatest thing, though. You just hire them, okay, and they do the technology for you. It's like, wow, that is the best of both worlds, and they even can teach you. So, that idea of just let that, I think some people are afraid to almost let that back out again. That it's been there, it's never gone away, it never got quiet, you just let it drown out, but it's still talking to you. So I personally have carried that voice for a long time. Even I drowned it to levels, so I just let it fly and have a good time. I don't even know what number we're on. I don't think we switched.
Oh, we're on number 5 or number 6, but like you say, we're giving people out there permission to check things out, to do things differently, to think differently, to feel differently, and to get back to maybe, the days that you were the flower power and all that kind of thing, and start thinking that way again. But anyway, I noticed on 6 and 7, and really the rest of them kind of flow together. When there's no room for advancement at your job, we kind of went over that. Number 7 is when your health is suffering, and we did, tap on that. Number 8 is when your personal life is suffering because of your schedule and your stress levels. We kind of touch on that. And number 9, when you want more time with family and hate those long commutes, and we kind of touched on that as well. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have some final thoughts here. I hope that everybody took away something that can help you maybe make a different decision. Maybe at least have a discussion with maybe your spouse or your soulmate or friend or whatever. Or as Ellie and Carol have said, get in touch with one of us. We'd be happy to talk with you. Because I think it's important that in today's economy and just the way everything is going, why not empower yourself to be more responsible for the way your life, the way you're living your life, and the way you want your life to be. So that's how I look at things, and that's how I kind of want to sum it up. So we're going to head it over to Carol.
Okay. I think that the way I'd want to end it is by saying I particularly have a connection with the boomers, being one myself. And I know that there are a lot of boomers who are hanging on to their jobs because they either can't afford to retire, or they're worried about when they retire, are they going to have enough money to live the lifestyle that they're used to, and that sort of thing. So as Ellie, I think it was Ellie who said, actually about a third of the people in our particular company are boomers. You look around and you pick each other out,
They have white hair, but I don't, so I must not be a boomer.
Well, there's also Lady Clairol, you know.
I was just going to say, I just had mine done.
There you go. So, and again, if you're in that position, you're probably in a job still right now. And as I mentioned, that's a great position to be in because you can certainly transition into this over time and then build your business while you decrease the hours at work. What else would I want to say? You know, it's strange. There's strange things going on in the world right now. I don't watch the news, so I don't really have the particulars on it, but I understand that Greece is in a horrible economic situation, and I've just heard it said that, you know, there's concern about fallout from it. So, you know, what happened in 2008 could easily happen again, which means that, you know, companies fold and 401ks are lost and people lose their jobs. And when you get up into your middle years and past, it's not easy to find a job again. You have too much to offer and they don't want to pay, and there's ageism. So just a couple of things to think about. And I'm done. Ellie?
Oh my God, now I'll get on my damn soapbox. Because what you just said is huge. Okay, and it goes back to, I guess, number 3. It really goes back to learning how to take responsibility for our own lives. And I get it, folks, we weren't taught that. Okay, we were taught to go get this job and let other people provide for us. And that is, sorry, bullcrap. It's bullcrap. Retirement is bullcrap. It's not what they said it was. It's not what our parents had. And you don't know what's coming down the road. And I'm not, look it, I am not a fearmonger, okay? And I don't read the news. I hear a little bit here and there. You can't help it on Facebook. But to learn ways to make an income with a laptop, which means I could travel the world and make money. And in the business that we're in the company that we're with, okay, we actually learn the skills that you could do any business with these skills besides the business that we already do. All right? So if you're 40, 50, if you're 60, 70 thinking I can't learn, you can. So if you're still working, you're right, you're really set up to do this because you take that extra time. Everybody has extra time. Everybody watches TV at some point. Turn the damn thing off. It's just junk anyways. It just is. It's all drama and trauma. And learn how to do this because the skill set you learn is amazing. All right, that you pick up a laptop and you can travel the world and make money. You can reach out and help and teach other people. Reach out and teach other people how to take control of their own lives. To me, that's what this is all about. All right? Having control of my own life, because that is what I've always wanted. Waking up when I want to wake up and making vacation when I want. All right? And being able to put my hand out and say, you want to do this? I'll show you how. Come with me. Okay? If you don't want to do it, that's okay. I wish you the absolute best, but I hope it hit in here with something here. And if it did, you know, hit that button down below. Get in touch with one of us, the person who invited you here. Don't keep handing your life over to the so-called authority figures in life. That's my 2 cents.
That's a good ending for, I believe, a really, really good hangout today, because I think that we shared quite a bit that is going to be very, very helpful to so many people, and that's what we're here for. So we are going to toast it out. The $1 million mission. We are done with another hangout.
Undo your mic, Carol, so we can see you.
So here's cheers to success and you know, freedompreneurs.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Wait, take a sip.
Good night, everyone.
Next time, come and drink with us.
Yeah, there you go.
Get in touch with the person who invited you here. Hit the button below. Have a fabulous night. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.